Welcome to the Flagler Museum. This is absolutely one of the most exciting places to visit when you're here in the Palm Beaches. Built back in 1902 by Henry Flagler as a gift for his wife. 75 rooms, over 100,000 square feet of Gilded Age excellence. Let's head in and take a look. Thanks again for tuning into Passport to the Palm Beaches. I'm your host, Jacqueline Journey, and I'm here with the Executive Director, John Blades, of the gorgeous Flagler Museum. This place is so incredible, it's worth a visit. In fact, worth multiple visits.
Indeed.
So for those people who aren't familiar with Henry Flagler and all that he did for the state of Florida in particular, give us a little brief history of who he was and why he was so critical to our history here in Florida.
Well, I should say that before he even came to Florida, Flagler was an incredible business person who was a founding partner in Standard Oil, the most profitable corporation in the world, and it remained so for over a century. That's a record that'll never be equaled. He was their legal mind. He figured out how to create the trust system which allowed them to do business nationwide. He handled their mergers and acquisitions, and it made him quite wealthy. But at some point in his mid-50s, he decided he'd rather pursue other interests and was familiar with Florida and thought there was an opportunity here that wouldn't be realized unless he personally got involved. So in a very real sense, he invented modern Florida. He created a transportation system that runs the length of the state. He promoted agriculture and tourism as the mainstays of the economy, and they are today still. And so the state he found in the late 19th century may have been the poorest state in the nation, but this past year I think our gross domestic product in Florida exceeded that of the entire country of Mexico. So he really laid the foundation for making Florida what it is today.
So he originally built this place for his wife, is that correct?
Well, in a sense he did. He'd been dating his wife. He met her in Newport, and he wasn't going to build her a house that wasn't going to compare well with what she'd been seeing in Newport. His tradition, his habit was to give the deed of any home he built to his wife as a way of making her feel secure and financially stable. So he did that with all of his homes, and he did that with Whitehall as well. The house itself was built as their home here in Palm Beach.
Very much part of the Gilded Age, and I think at that time this was sort of the pinnacle of that. And he really created not only the tourism but the season here in Palm Beach, where all of the other people who were very successful at that time started building homes here as well.
So in Palm Beach what he created was not just a seasonal counterpoint but a social counterpoint. Palm Beach has always been, because of the way Flagler established it, about what you've done lately. And as a consequence, Palm Beach is constantly reinventing itself. Everyone is welcome here, provided they really want to be a part of the community and make the effort. So what they built here was something very different from all of his other homes. What they built here was really sort of response to Andrew Carnegie's admonition in his Gospel of Wealth that these titans of business should have at least one house that is really a home for all that's highest and best in literature and the arts, because that was a way of elevating our society. So in a sense, this was built to project the aspirations of American culture at the time. We try to create an open environment here with self-guided tours in printed form in a number of different languages, audio tours in several languages. But we want people to really wander through the building and be able to be contemplative, to really take in what they're seeing, to try to understand what this place is about, what the messaging is here. And the messaging is, this is about arts and literature and about our society really become all that it could be, and us as individuals becoming all that we could be as individuals. So it's supposed to inspire us to want to be that. Every room of this first floor in particular has some special features to it. So the architects really pulled out all the stops. They wanted to make every room special in some way and different from any other home of this period in some way. So, for example, the dining room was made of solid satin wood. It's the most elaborate satin wood room ever built in the Western Hemisphere, probably in the world. You can't even get enough satin wood to build anything anymore of any size, and yet we have an entire room with a giant fireplace made of solid satin wood. So that's a really special room. Or the drawing room is leafed in aluminum leaf because aluminum was such a magic metal to them at this time in history. And for most of Flagler's life, aluminum was more expensive than platinum or gold. It's like that throughout the building. It's really filled with messaging and symbolism and special features and materials that you won't find anyplace else. One of the miracles of this building is that we've been able to repatriate the major contents to the point where if Flagler could come back today, I think he'd be surprised at how little had changed. What I hope our visitors walk away with is a sense that they may have visited other places like the Frick Collection or the Newport Mansions or even Hearst Castle, but they didn't really get an understanding of what these buildings are about until they came to visit Whitehall. I hope our visitors walk away with some sense of why you build a place like this, what it means, why we want to preserve it, and how it'll, I think, continue to help inform our thinking in the future.